Hi everyone, it's that time again when we need to do the vlog, and it's obviously we're just on the edge of Christmas, so we'll end with a little bit of that as well. So I thought I'd give a bit of an update on COVID and where we are, touch on the vaccine specifically, and then what's possibly going to happen in the next few weeks, etc. And then we'll just end with a little bit of discussion about the Christmas period as well, and a reflection on this year. So on the COVID numbers, first of all, as I've said before, we got down to nil COVID inpatients on the 1st of September, and then that picked up steadily and we broke through 100 at the end of October half term, slightly behind those around us, but similar pressure in the northeast at that time. We then about 2 weeks later got quite stretched, so we got up to about nearly 160 inpatients, and for a weekend critical care got a bit stretched also, and team did a fantastic job as always, really agile, loads of collaboration with each other, fantastic effort, settled things down, and then the numbers eased out quite nicely. But we've been stuck at about 100 inpatients for about 2 weeks or so now, which again is a bit of a similar pattern elsewhere. We had a little bit of a disruption to elective pathways for a few days, and then again the team managed to get back on the bike quickly with that, and we've got pretty much a full range of services going on now, which is fantastic. And I think we shouldn't forget as well, this is winter. This time last year we had loads of flu. I think 2-3 years ago we had terrible norovirus, etc. as well. And one of the benefits of what's happened this year is been less travel. There's been a much stronger focus on hand hygiene and masks, etc., which has had an impact on other transmissions of disease like flu and norovirus and stuff. So there are some benefits that we're experiencing now, touch wood, to go along with the COVID pressure and other normal winter pressures. So we're sort of stable at about 100 COVID positive inpatients, plenty of capacity currently, but a little bit worried about what's going to happen in a couple of weeks' time, because we do know that the relaxation on shopping and those sorts of things will probably have a similar impact to what happened over October half term, where lots of people mingled around with each other. Some people got infected a couple of weeks later, some people got sick and came to us. So that's really what we're worried about now, about how do we get organised and anticipate a bit of a peak again, probably around the time when it would be the normal winter peak, which is usually end of December, starting between Christmas and New Year, and goes into January. So really confident that you'll all do a fantastic job. We've got a good plan, great capacity, really good agility as always, and we'll get through it as we have in the previous rounds with your usual skill. We are aware though that there's lots of discussion about how tired and fed up everybody is, and today we'll hear what's happening with the tiering system, and it's good to acknowledge that we're all feeling it in different ways. So we had a few discussions earlier the week where there's a bit of discussion about people feel a bit embarrassed, that they feel a bit down and tired, and it's just completely normal. It's been a really weird, horrible year in lots of ways. So I think there'd be something wrong with us if we weren't feeling the impacts now. I think the important thing is that you work with your colleagues and families and other support we can give you as well if you are feeling a bit down and a bit low, to access help. And the biggest, most useful thing I think is we all just really pull together and get through this next phase, because there is light at the end of the tunnel now in terms of the vaccine. We haven't yet seen our share of the vaccine because of constraint of supply, but there's been some really fruitful discussions late last night and then indications this morning that we might get some soon. I think key to this is the approval of the Oxford vaccine, which my estimates are it'll get signed off maybe next week or in between Christmas and New Year. And that's a much more useful vaccine in terms of supply into primary care and in nursing homes, which then frees up the Pfizer vaccine for use in hospitals for our patients and our staff. And the team are ready to go. As soon as it arrives, we'll do the usual job and trying to get as many of our staff vaccinated as is humanly possible. And on that note, there's been quite a lot of discussion this week, understandably, and a bit of challenge about some of the language that's being used nationally and in the media and stuff about frontline staff. And this came up in a session I had at CBX with staff yesterday. And in reality, we can't function without everybody. So whether you're working in payroll or finance or procurement or you're in ITU, the best thing about Northumbria is we're all a family and we all need to stick together. And when we get the vaccine, as long as I'm not directed legally to do otherwise, we'll make sure everybody gets done. There'll be a prioritisation, obviously, for those clinically most vulnerable, etc. But we'll just try and get all of our staff done as quickly as is humanly possible, so that at least you can all settle down. And then I really think then things start to change. So we've got to hold the discipline for quite a while yet. But once people start being vaccinated in big numbers, here and in community and across society generally, we'll move into a different phase. So just want to encourage you all to try, and while you are tired and fed up and sick of watching the news and the restrictions and all that sort of thing, just hang on. If we can just stick together, stick to the basics, respect the rules as much as we can, and then vaccines coming in the new year and we can all get into a new phase. So if you reflect on this year, we did it with exec team yesterday and then governors last night, and we're just about to go into a board session now to reflect on the achievements of this year. And honestly, when you look at all the things that have been done here, it's fantastic. We've got real transformation all over the organisation, innovations going on everywhere, progress on things like Berwick. Some fantastic things going on out in community with our community staff and those involved with discharge and rehab. And we had a great session last night with James Morton and Francis Collin, Marcus Weatherly talking us through some of the changes in elderly care. There's so much going on, so much being achieved. We can't do it justice in a day's worth of discussion. And so in a year that's been so dominated by this horrible thing, COVID-19, to continue to do all those other wonderful things and all the recognition that you've all had with awards for compassion and other things, it's absolutely fantastic. So I really do hope you can get time to reflect on the good parts of this year, the progress that's been made. Hope you really get some time with your family in the next week or so, respecting the rules. We've all got to stick to the rules. We've all got to stick to the basics, but get some downtime if you can. It'll be a bit tough in January, as it always is in every winter, but we're right on the edge of seeing a change in the whole thing when the vaccine arrives, and then we'll start seeing big numbers vaccinated, and the whole feel and our ability to do other things gradually will change over hopefully the first few months of next year. So as always, thanks for everything that you've done. It's even more important this year. You've done so phenomenally well on everything, and not just COVID, but all the routine business, the efforts through open up access, our flow, our focus in community and working with partners has been absolutely fantastic. So very, very much appreciated. I hope you have a great Christmas, and we'll look forward to a fantastic 21. Thanks very much.